peanuts and the fight against nutrition. Let me ask you another question. I'm going to mention several countries. I'm going to mention Haiti. I'm going to mention Guyana. I'm going to mention Senegal. I'm going to mention Cambodia. I'm going to mention the Gambia, and I'm going to mention the Philippines. Which one of those countries has been mentioned earlier today? Only one. The Philippines. Why was the Philippines mentioned? Chris mentioned the Philippines because they have a slight increase in peanut production. Now, why do I mention that? Because we have Representative Clay Purple, if he's still in the room. All right? We have Representative from Austin Scott's office here. My message today when we talk about nutrition is not at the expense of Georgia's peanut farmers. Peanut production elsewhere, our research elsewhere is not at the expense of peanut production in this country, in this state. It is to enhance in developing countries, to work with people, to aid in their nutrition in ways that we would find acceptable. Now you can't read that, but what I'm going to tell you is, if you read that, I am malnourished. I am suffering from malnutrition because I learned that as doing this, that malnutrition has two aspects. The first aspect is when you don't have enough of what you need to thrive and survive. You don't have enough calories, you don't have enough vitamins, you don't have access. That is undernourished. Some of us are overnourished. Today's talk is going to be less about overnourished and more about malnourished. And what I'll say is we'll start off when we talk about nourished. This is a program that the University of Georgia has worked on. We've taken extension agents with us. We've taken growers from Georgia with us. This is a program in Haiti. On Thursday, we will be traveling to Manna, where we will learn about how Georgia's peanuts are used to make this RUTF, ready-to-use therapeutic food, to assist in overcoming severe malnutrition. You can see some of that here. We can also see that when you talk about peanuts and you're talking about nutrition, it doesn't have to be just about undernourished children in Haiti or undernourished children in Africa. And we've had this talk earlier. We had a very good talk earlier today about the nutritional benefits. You know, part of a healthy diet. The minerals, the vitamins, the calories, the good calories, the protein that's in there. Okay? So when we talk about nutrition, whether it's malnutrition or overnutrition or undernutrition, peanuts have a fit around the world. Okay? Now what I want to talk about and finish my talk up with is efforts by scientists and extension people from Georgia, from the people who you met, some of the ones who will be on the tour committees as well, and working in underprivileged, under areas of the world where peanuts remain very, very important. Because when we talk about Cambodia, the Gambia, Senegal, when we talk about Haiti, when we talk about Guyana, those are areas that Don just mentioned. Areas right now, Don, that you've mentioned that they can't afford necessarily to import peanuts. But I will say this is one reason why we should think about working with them. When I first started working with Guyana in South America, in 2001, it was the poorest nation per capita in South America. The poorest, when we started working with them. Where is Guyana now in terms of the rest of South America in terms of per capita? Where is it? It's number one. How do you go from being the last to number one in 23 years? Exactly. I would like to say it's something I did, but it has nothing to do. It has to do with oil. So by the opportunity to work with countries, not only do we help to improve them, but we also have the opportunity, Don, as their gross national product increases, to hopefully export peanuts to them. If you look at the areas around the world where we grow peanuts, or where peanuts can be grown in those areas, what you will also notice is that they are some of the most economically challenged, deprived areas in the world. And that's why when we talk about the countries I mentioned, they are in that zone. Not only can you grow peanuts there, but they are challenged and severely malnourished, or at least underprivileged. Okay? When you look at this picture, when we look at the first picture is in Haiti, the middle picture's in the Philippines, and I'm not sure where the last picture was taken because I can't see it too well, but those are all children who are at risk to severe malnutrition or at least undernourishment. And the opportunity through peanuts helps them in many ways. Okay? So what do I want to talk about? What do we do in terms of international efforts at the University of Georgia with our extension, with our research as well? It is not at the expense of Georgia's peanut farmers. We are working in countries with people who at this point can grow peanuts, but severe malnutrition or severe poverty, And maybe one day, just like Guyana, Don, just as you mentioned, just like Guyana, they may become importers of peanuts at one day. But the idea is to feed them. Okay? We train farmers. We work with varieties. Aflatoxin has been mentioned several times here. Development of training materials, cooperative research, and processing and storage. What's that got to do with malnutrition? Okay? What it has to do with malnutrition is a holistic view. As far as peanuts go in the developing world where peanuts are grown, it is not just providing peanuts. Nutrition is not just providing peanuts, but if we can aid in community development, find ways that the farmers can better take care of their families, and they can produce an excess that they can feed the community, that aids in nutrition overall as well. Okay? What you see is what you get here. And the countries we're talking about, the left-hand side, that is in the Philippines. The right-hand side is in Haiti. Okay? The production levels there are very, very far behind where we are. Very far behind. We cannot improve that. We wouldn't be able to. But what we can do is talk to them about ways to improve the quality of the peanuts. How do you dig peanuts? Or not how do you dig it? You dig peanuts with pitchforks in most places that I go. Okay? When I travel internationally. How do you determine when a peanut is ready to harvest? In most places I work. How do you decide? When the leaves fall off from leaf spot, that is a signal to the farmers that the peanut's ready to dig. The leaves don't fall off unless the peanut's ready. That's the signal. We talked to them about harvest maturity. We talked about indeterminate crops. We talked to them about increasing the productivity of the peanut crop to in turn both for nutrition and also for economic benefits for their families. Some of the work we presented, this was presented several years ago. This was a former program, Peanut Crisp. It was housed at the University of Georgia. It just shows working with storage technology, working with inputs, working with new varieties, trying to bring increased nutrition to fight malnutrition, not only through products like, you'll see at Manna on Thursday, not only RUTF. The idea is when you get RUTF, you are already in a starvation mode. The idea is how can we help to improve livelihoods and improve nutrition before you get to that stage. Okay? Again, here's another example. This is pictures taken from the Gambia and from the Philippines. And if you look at what their diet consists of, they already use peanuts. Now, they don't grow our peanuts. Why? Because they would like, because of the rainy seasons, they like to have a peanut that's out of the ground at about 100 to 110 days. A variety that goes 150 days would simply not fit. But you can see that they're already consuming peanuts along with other things. Okay? One of the educational aspects is trying to make the growers understand, make the people understand, what is the value, what is the importance of peanuts in terms of comparing peanuts, a handful of peanuts to 2 glasses of milk, and comparing it to the amount of sweet potatoes it would take. So educational efforts out there to show them when we talk about malnutrition, we talk about proper nutrition, educating on how peanuts fits into that. Okay? The other thing we've talked about is aflatoxin. One of the critical factors, if you're going to talk to people in developing countries who have no concept, no idea of what aflatoxin is, and you can see whether it's on maize or on peanuts, aflatoxin is one of the most carcinogenic substances known to us. Now, the reason why you don't use it in poultry feed is it has a very toxic, it has a very, an almost immediate effect, an acute effect. Poultry eats too much aflatoxin and they die. What happens to humans? It's a chronic effect. It affects our immune system. It affects us. And so the idea is we need to train. If we're going to talk about this, we need to train. And the easiest way in developing countries that we work with, the most easiest way to separate, to get rid of aflatoxins is to sort, hand sort. If they look bad, get rid of them. If they look good, keep them. It's very, very effective. You can sort out most of the aflatoxins by doing it. We train them that way. And you can see the difference when they're sorting here. You can see what the impact is. What's the problem? What's the problem? If you are talking to subsistence farmers whose family has worked all 110 days for this crop, and then you tell them your crop is safer, you can sell it for a better price if you sort it, they will do it. They will do it. They will sort because they want the better price. What won't they do? They will not throw the bad ones away. They won't. It's beyond their imagination to grow it. So what do they do with the bad ones? At worst, they will eat it themselves. You go from having a community-wide problem to a family-wide problem. And if they don't consume them themselves, they feed them to their livestock, they feed them to their chickens, and then we know what happens. Right? So we talk about, we work with them as far as improving their sorting, understanding aflatoxins. Okay? So sorting, we promote the sorting, and then also what we have to do is recognize if we say that you need to sort, but you can't eat them and you can't feed them to your livestock, then we have to come up with other ways. Okay, so that's one of the aspects. The aspects is to try and improve productivity by trainings, but then also to reduce aflatoxins by sorting, but we can't just stop at that step because we have to come up with ideas and ways that what is not fit for consumption by humans or animals can be used for other practices. Okay? So just a few more things. Talk a little bit about the countries. And again, these are not countries that were mentioned. This is not China, this is not India, this is not Brazil, this is not Argentina, this is not Nicaragua. In this case, it's Guyana. And what's Guyana's claim to fame? It has gone from the poorest country in South America to, at least by per capita, the richest. And back when we first started, we worked with the most deprived country, the group, which was the Amerindians. They comprised of 5% of the population. And the idea there was to improve their nutrition in their remote schools by incorporating peanut butter into their diets. But wait, there's more. By working with their fathers and their mothers, who were peanut farmers as well, to produce the peanuts. And then their mothers developed cooperatives where they could produce the peanut butter, which was bought by the government and sold for the peanut snacks. And those things have happened. Okay? The Philippines. Again, when you look at the Philippines, the majority of the people in the Philippines live in poverty. It's a very, very difficult country. And these children survive on almost no nutrition. Very, very low nutrition. Okay? But the thing is that everywhere you go in the Philippines, peanuts are a snack. They're a favorite snack. Not our style of peanuts, they go for Spanish or Valencias. And so the idea here in our projects has been to work with the farmers, to overcome the typhoons, to overcome the problems they have, to try and get them to be better able to produce peanuts. Here we are with the peanut grower, trying to get them to look at new varieties. But peanut farmers in the Philippines are exactly like peanut farmers in Georgia. You can come up with a new variety. You can tell them how good it is. You can tell them it's going to out-yield. But if it doesn't fit in their production practice, or if it is not in demand by their consumers, they don't want it. They teach us. It has got to meet lots of requirements. We've also worked very closely for aflatoxin management, trying to develop biocontrol strategies in the Philippines as well. Senegal. Why is Senegal there? The Gambia. The Gambia is that narrow red country sandwiched between parts of Senegal. Why is it there? It's a vestige of British rule, surrounded by French-speaking Senegal. Okay? And what you can see is, again, the production practice is there. And so the idea is to try and improve production in some way, because peanuts are already consumed, to try and produce some way that we increase the nutritional value and increase the nutrition of the families there. Okay? That's in Senegal. And the last one's in Haiti. And this is the one when you go on Thursday to Mana. This is one where we've worked in Haiti with similar situations. But Haiti needs no introduction to you. If there is a country in the Western Hemisphere that is broken in all but spirit, it is Haiti. And again, the idea has been to try and find ways, to minimize aflatoxin, to increase consumption of healthy peanuts and increase production in ways that we can. Again, there are peanuts imported into Haiti in some situations. Some come from the United States, but most are produced locally. We produce production guides in their native language, Creole. We've talked about how to fight aflatoxin, we've talked about improve nutrition, all of those factors. So in the concluding remarks, and I could go on and on and on, that's why Jake stood up. All right? When we look at malnutrition in the world, when you look at peanuts, when you look at the efforts from the state of Georgia, and the Georgia Peanut Commission has been one of the leaders in developing RUTF peanut products. Okay? The idea is not to just look at nutrition as feeding people. That's one aspect, but it is also under the aspect of increasing productivity so that you increase not only the nutrition within the family, within the individual, but within the community as well. And my favorite quote that you can't read, it basically says, if I have any power as an agricultural scientist to make any difference in the lives of children, why wouldn't I do it?